it's really an existential novel. It's really, one of those books that is not only, it's woven into the fabric of America. And here at the centers, you have this man that creates himself according to his own imagination in the 1920s in a place like America where everything was possible.
And Baz Luhrmann creates that world in such a spectacular way.
Yes, he does. He really made the 1920s roar in this film.
And in terms of clothes, which is why we are all here, they are, in the detail of it all, more period correct in the menswear. The women's wear, I don't think so. But in the menswear...
details. Yeah, please.
I mean, so it's mainly the suiting. So the lapels are typically thinner. Well, it's not typically. I mean, in comparison to the 1970 production,
the size.
the size of the lapel is much thinner and much more appropriate to the era. The general costuming was fine, except for the suits were all far too tight in the fit. And also, in my opinion, they looked a little cheap in construction. That's just me being a snob. So
no, it's a good point.
Yeah,
I really needed to get some of his wardrobe though. I mean, like that, even the horse polo top that he's wearing, this kind of weird half raglan green and blue top. It's like a real low V-neck. I think I'm going out now. I'm going to get on a steed. I'm going to find myself a steed, some grass, and I'm going to look good in that shirt. That's the end goal for me. Can you see yourself on that horse?
I mean, it's all about the boots for me.
Okay.
The ones that in the book Nick
I have
describes.
A pair of lady boots, man. I mean, don't tempt me.
He describes them so lovingly, hugging his calves in the
How
book
he filled
and
them
everything.
out.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, talking of books, I was going to
filling out his boots. So,
will you allow me to read a little passage from Fashion and Film, returning to the Christopher Lafferty book that mentions some of the style and the relationship between Brooks Brothers and the costume designer. So, Cinema's ongoing relationship with Brooks Brothers is only possible because of the company's heritage. The organization was family run for 128 years before being sold to Julius Garfinkel, blah, 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 blah. It is now owned by Brooks Brothers Incorporated, ideally placed to provide an industry that requires speedy turnaround. It can offer costume designers a vast archive of period styles and fabrics. Catherine Martin, producer, set designer, and costumer for The Great Gatsby, chose to work with Brooks Brothers for this very reason. Plus the fact that Gatsby's author, F. Scott Fitzgerald, had referred to the company by name several times in his text. Fitzgerald's anti-hero, Jay Gatsby, played in this version by Leonardo DiCaprio, is a self-made man, staggeringly rich, but without a past. He needs Brooks Brothers to provide an air of legitimacy, a heritage of his own. Martin and director Baz Luhrmann approached their version of the classic novel with an eye to period accuracy, but set across an entire decade, the enormously changeable silhouettes of the 20s. The Brooks Brothers suits worn by DiCaprio and co-star Tobey Maguire, who plays Yale graduate Nick Carraway, are a fitted early 20s cut and is more flattering to modern eyes than the wider proportions seen in the later part of the decade. Brooks Brothers employed master tailor Martin Greenfield at this point in his early 80s to coordinate production of all DiCaprio and Maguire suits. In total, the company supplied 500 ensembles for the cast and extras, made up of 1,700 pieces, including shoes, ties, and shirts. That is it's quite a number, quite a staggering number.
I did not know the Greenfield connection. Love that.
Yeah,
it's interesting that they mention.
Yeah, I love the Greenfield connection.
The vintage archives that they were using and everything, because I didn't see too much that screamed distinctly 20s to me. Like, I was hoping there would be like, a high fastening 2-button suit or something like that, rather than just 3-button suits. Just things like that mark them out as the 20s. And besides the, as Dan pointed out, the fit being very slim, almost to the point of tightness. The jackets were a little too short. They were definitely 2013 in length. Because in the 20s, I do believe the jackets were a little longer, while the trousers were a bit more high watered in length. Yeah.
Do you think they were going for a modern look on the jacket in terms of length as well?
I think so, yeah, for sure. And
Interesting. Yeah.
And if
And
you
then, of
look at
course-
the pants, I mean, the pants are pretty appropriately high. I mean, they could be
Right.
higher, but like
Mhm.
there's a point that Hollywood's like, no, this is not
Yeah.
commercial.
Mm.
You
Mhm.
know, like let's be very
yeah.
clear.
A lot of the
So-
trousers in the 20s were like above the ankle, if you thought the preps in the 50s and 60s were wearing high water trousers, well, look out, 20s.
Oh, but like the waist, I mean, the waist it was pretty high.
Yeah.
Like there's the scene like post, the post suit, the pink situation. He has the jacket off, and you see him in the braces. Like those pants. I mean, they're pretty high, but they would have probably most definitely been higher in the.
And
20s.
they would have had a fishtail back. That's the thing I noticed when his jacket was off. They had inner brace buttons
Mhm.
and no fishtail back. They most definitely would have had a fishtail back, and probably most likely a cinch in the back as well of the waistband. I believe so.
I don't know about
Or
the cinch,
Would that
but
be more of a
probably the
30s thing?
fishtail back.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, probably the fishtail bag, especially given the fact of who the character is. I mean, it's a man who would get bespoke suiting. So,
Right.
so like, and that would be, that said, if he didn't get bespoke suiting and it was like allegedly like Brooks Brothers 1920 like fair, probably not, because Brooks Brothers is known for essentially developing ready to wear suiting. So that's what they're known for. So F. Gus Fitzgerald was a client of Brooks Brothers and referred to, I think it was like River Brothers or something like that in that book that that the article mentioned, or rather the passage mentioned. Excuse me. So there's an appropriateness for Brooks Brothers to be involved with the film, but I would say it would be appropriate for someone like Nick and Tom and not Gatsby.
That's what I was going to say.
Especially because it explicitly says in the text, I have a man from England that buys my clothes. So, and his clothes weren't particularly English, I would say. That said,
No,
I mean, there were particular aspects. Like, for example, in Leo's pink suit has a turnback cuff on it, which I think is fabulous.
His dinner suit also has turnback cuffs. Little Bond connection there for you, Pete. But
yeah, I did see some of those turnback cuffs. It's, I'd say some of the obvious parallels of the films is that they're both incredibly what I call telegenic, in that I will take screen grabs and like post them for the social and the blog to kind of preheat some of the episodes. And I think I took an equal amount for both films. As in, I probably took about 100 of both films. And so it's not like, even though the 74 version, I've got it on Blu-ray, it's not as clear and it's not as crisp. There are still moments where they're obviously looking very catalogy. So they're out on the kind of open in-out driveway about to change cars or get in each other's cars, standing there with their hand on the hip doing the teapot, shuffling around on the gravel. There's close-ups of the shoes and the turn-ups, and it's everyone's waiting to have their picture taken. Right, they're different from each film, and it's no surprise that both of the films won Oscars and BAFTAs for the costume design. I mean, it didn't get much else. I mean, critically, it wasn't very well received by the looks of things, but everyone noticed, oh, they've done quite well here, making it look as good as possible.
Right.